sponsors. We have our platinum sponsors there on the screen. I think you saw videos from many of them throughout the lunch break. So some really great partners in Farm Credit, the Mash-Offs, Cactus Farms, just to name a few, not only of this program, but throughout the year for us here at our organization, and really excited to have them participate in this event. With that, we're going to roll right into our next session here this afternoon. That is our workforce recruitment and retention panel discussion. We've got some great folks on the program here this morning. We've got Tracy Ganser from GJW up in Ainsworth, Tammy Suey with Livingston Enterprises in Fairbury, and then Andrew Ambrose with Custer County Economic Development in Broken Bow. So thank you all for joining us here today. Gonna just kind of go through and let you guys take a few minutes to introduce yourselves as well as your company that you're with. Tracy, you want to go ahead and lead us off today?
Absolutely. I'm Tracy Ganser, born and raised in Ainsworth, Nebraska. I have been with the GJW family now for 5 years with their human resources. My career started in construction. I was a civilian contractor for the government specializing in telephony and information infrastructure. When I moved back home to start a family, GJW learned of myself and my history, and I am exactly the kind of person that the swine industry needs to recruit for their company. I'd never seen a pig before. I'd never been around one before. But the company took me in and trained me and developed me, and this is a great industry to work for. So,
thank you, Tammy. How about you?
Yes, so I am Tammy Suey. I have been with Livingston Enterprises for 5 years, actually this month. My previous background was more in health and human services. So this has been an interesting change, but was aware of the business here, and it's a vital part of our community. So it's an exciting adventure to be on, to try and get qualified individuals to come and work for our company.
Excellent. And Andrew.
Good afternoon. I'm Andrew Ambrose. I'm the Director for Economic Development for Custer County, based out of Broken Bow, Nebraska, but serving all of our communities here in Custer County. I've been in this role for a little over 2 years, and I presume why I'm here is that we focus on this holistic approach to workforce recruitment, retention, and we are home to Thomas Livestock Company, which is a significant pork producer here in the state of Nebraska. And work closely with them to try and attack these issues head on.
Absolutely, and you're exactly right, at least from our perspective. When we talk about workforce recruitment and retention, it takes takes a lot of collaboration with the communities in the state, and economic development plays a big part of that. So we appreciate you being on to share your perspective today. So just a few housekeeping items. We're going to get into some questions and answers. We have some prepared here, but we would really welcome questions from the audience here today. If you were watching this presentation and you want to ask a question of our panel, you can do that in the Q&A function that appears on your screen, and then someone from our staff will see those and send them over to me. So I guess just starting off kind of from a big picture perspective, what are some of the biggest challenges you face in recruiting quality labor and quality workforce to your operation? Tammy, do you want to lead us off?
Sure. I think one of the biggest barriers is that a lot of people are not fully aware of what actually happens in swine production. So trying to educate people on the kinds of work that they would be doing, allowing them the opportunity to ask a lot of good questions. The swine industry has some unusual things that may happen. For example, our company is a shower in, shower out facility, and a lot of people, that's a foreign concept when you're looking for employment, is that you may have to be showering in as a result of our biosecurity. So I think just getting our message out about what we do and why we do the things that we do is important. And I think that once that educational piece has been started, people open up and have good questions, and then we're able to kind of navigate through those questions and get people the information they need to make an informed decision on employment. And a lot of individuals who had never maybe considered swine production as a field, once they get started, find that they do really enjoy the work that they're doing. And then they, of course, become our best advocates to try and recruit other individuals. So that word of mouth of what we do and how we do it is important in our industry.
Tracy, do you have any comments you want to share on that?
She's spot on. I had never heard the word biosecurity before. And so to, in my own hometown, have a shower and shower out facility, it was really eye-opening to me. And to be able to go into that facility and have wonderful people train me in all aspects of the industry, that's really helped me to recruit, because I can better understand what those jobs are, what the details are, explain the why, and really the wholesomeness of agriculture and what an intrinsically valuable career that is.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. You know, as I travel the state and visit with companies in various sectors of agriculture, you know, we talk a lot about housing and workforce housing, affordable housing. Is that a consideration or an issue that you run into? And if so, you know, I know you guys at Livingston have done some things to address workforce housing. Do you kind of want to elaborate on that and some of the issues that led to that?
Absolutely. So we're kind of in a unique situation. Bruce, the owner of our company, is a kind of a forward thinker, and he recognized that housing can be something of a barrier for some individuals. And so we have been fortunate enough that the office that we occupied before our current office, as well as our current office, we have dorm style living that is available to individuals as they transition. Maybe if they're moving to the community, it's an affordable way for them to start their career and maybe gain a little bit of backing to try and get into different housing. And we also work with some visa programs. And so that housing has been instrumental in allowing those individuals to come and have a place to stay while they are participating in those programs.
Absolutely, and I want to bring Andrew in on this. I know you've got several large ag employers there in Broken Bow. You've spent time in McCook as well, that has a very vibrant ag and manufacturing industry there. What initiatives have you seen in terms of housing, and what partnerships have you forged with perhaps local businesses or local companies that help address some of these workforce housing shortages?
Well, I think you said it, partnership is the word. Nothing happens all by yourself. And particularly when you're talking about recruiting workforce to a community, that's going to be someone who is not from here, or it's a student, someone young into their career that you're trying to get into your pipeline. And typically that's going to look more like that rental style housing. And so there was a larger initiative in the early 2010s that put up just shy of 40 rental units here in the community. And that was tremendous. Adams Land and Cattle is a big employer here, Thomas Livestock. We have a 24/7 manufacturing plant here as well. And so that really enabled us to transfer some of those people into this community when they were typically commuting from outside of the community. And as we start to see that shift in the market, it allows more places for people to take residence, be closer, be involved in the community. We're also trying to explore and do an analysis of what are they earning in wage, and doing that calculation. Can they afford the real estate that exists in our community? Broken Bow is one that has a polarized sort of housing market. So everything below 110,000 and you get what you pay for, and there's everything 190 and above. And in a really simple analysis, is you look at what people are getting paid in our community, does that line up? Do they have the ability to purchase homes? And if not, you've got to put a pin right in between those two numbers. And that's what we're doing. We've applied for grants and have been fortunate enough to receive some to put up more single family housing. We're into that discussion about rehabbing existing housing. Most of our operations are in rural America, and rural America stopped building homes right around 1980, and you can assume why. Our housing stock is older. How do we get those updated? And there's programs all over, but definitely economic development at the state has some that we're leveraging right now and trying to boot back up so that we can get some of those older homes back into commission for some of our workforce.
Absolutely, and I think that those are some great points, and that brings up another that I think is a concern in a lot of communities, and that's childcare. Andrew, do you want to elaborate on maybe some initiatives you've seen in terms of, we were talking about, an agricultural-based workforce or manufacturing workforce. Typically, these are younger folks that perhaps have children or families. What have you seen in terms of childcare?
I'm looking at a flip chart here in my office that has workforce issues, and the top two are housing and childcare. When we're talking about agriculture, we're not talking about your typical 9 to 5. We're talking about odd hours, overnight. We've got that manufacturing facility that I mentioned. Our leadership Custer County class actually pinpointed and created an effort called the Custer County Early Childhood Partnership. And we're looking to try and allocate resources from organizations like Nebraska Children Families Foundation to help some of our existing child care providers either get licensed or to do a better job of marketing the opportunities and enticing and incentivizing people to open their own child care facilities. And McCook, Nebraska has done a wonderful program in partnership with children and families that they've rolled out recently to try and grow and establish more child care. Because if someone doesn't have child care, they don't get to go to work. If someone doesn't have family, like we're talking about recruiting people into our community, if that requires them to go away from their base, who do they go to if they run into an issue like this? And those odd hours and night shift type employment really makes it difficult because the people that run those facilities have lives too. So how do we explore different ways? Is it on-site daycare where we can employ someone, or some other partnership where we get all of the employers to tackle this big problem all together? I don't know that anyone's really found the solution yet, but it's consistently at the top of everybody's list as to, if I could just solve this problem, I could be at work on time more consistently and contribute more of myself because my mind is here, not with my kids.
Absolutely. And Tracy, I want to bring you in on this discussion in terms of GJW. Is there any partnerships you guys have forged or any initiatives you've taken to help your employees with some of these struggles that they may find?
Well, there's probably two different sectors here. The housing, we do a 90-day temporary housing for anyone coming into our community from anywhere. They have 90 days there, and it helps them to get to know the town, where they'd like to live, meet people that they can be roommates with, those kinds of things. And in the last 5 years, it's been so much fun in my job to watch people go from 90-day housing to renting to then owning their own homes. It's been a great progression to watch a lot of my team members go through. And with the childcare, probably the thing that I like most about GJW is our flexible schedules. So if your daycare doesn't open till 7, you don't come to work till 7:30. If it opens at 6, you don't come to work till 6:30. School year, you start later. You can start earlier in the summer. We're a 24/7 facility. And so to see the entrepreneurship of other members in the community opening their own daycares and doing those kinds of things, the economic impact across the whole community has been really great to watch.
Absolutely. And I kind of want to segue off of that. Obviously, COVID-19 has been the topic of discussion. I think it, and when we look at workforce retention and even workforce recruitment, I think people are looking for some flexibility, but they're also looking for safe, healthy working environments. Just maybe could you guys maybe elaborate on some of the things you guys have done in your companies, to address employee health and those concerns as we work through this pandemic, Tammy?
Well, it's definitely been a challenging time for everyone, that's for sure. And, we're trying to kind of learn as we go. We tried to be very proactive from the start and get as much information out to our team members as possible about what we were learning. Again, I think that biosecurity piece for us kind of came to our advantage a little bit. People are already showering in, showering out. Our barns are rather large, so people weren't having to work in close proximity to a lot of other individuals. But it's a huge learning curve, and we're trying to navigate it the best we can. But I'll be honest, it's been challenging. Trying to just reiterate those things that we all know of, good hand washing, taking care of yourself if you're not feeling well. Talk to your providers. But yeah, it's been a rough few months, that's for sure.
Any comments, Tracy?
One of the things that we elaborated on is for years, they take their temperature before they actually come to the barn. If it's 100 degrees or higher, they go home. Influenza A is a really big thing for us. So the step that this company took even further was the Kinsa thermometers. Every employee that wanted one got a Kinsa thermometer at home. It's an app that you put on your phone. It takes the temperature in real time, not just for yourself, but for your children and your family members. So you can really monitor those temperature fluxes and some of those kinds of things. We do always have masks in the barn, but the opportunity for the reusable masks so the PPE can be with the medical staff and some of that. The community was really great in making us masks and doing those kinds of things. Again, with our biosecurity training and background, it really wasn't too much of a difference for us. We just added a couple more steps with maybe hand sanitizers at doorways, but the hand washing and that kind of stuff has always kind of been there.
Sure. Andrew, maybe from a broader perspective, has there been anything innovative or anything, kind of insightful you've seen done with the companies you work for or work with there in Bow?
Well, I just heard two really great examples right now. It is fascinating to see how much different the workforce landscape is in light of COVID-19. We're talking about how agriculture is having to step up and make things different. And I'm hearing about manufacturing operations that are cutting down on the number of workers they have, whereas in agriculture, you've got to beef up and you're still looking for those same people to keep your operation running. Oh, by the way, let's add 2, 3, 5 more steps to the process. And how do you manage all of that? So it's definitely different when you start talking about different sectors where, we're handling animals, we're out in the open, and so we can still keep some normalcy. But in other industries, we're seeing a totally different story. So that's why I think this conversation is so vital at this point, because not only are you changing how you operate, you're changing that training when you add more people. How long is that going to last? How are you building trust with your brand, your customers, things of that nature? So it's definitely a totally different conversation when we're talking about animal agriculture, just versus manufacturing or any other industry.
Absolutely, and you brought up training, and obviously as it relates to health and biosecurity, but I want to expand on that a bit when we start talking about workforce, retention and creating opportunities for people to grow within the company, grow within the community. How do you handle that? What kind of continuing education, what kind of training opportunities, are you offering to create long-term opportunities for your workforce, Tammy?
We have just implemented a few new things. We are offering some just evening educational opportunities for people to learn on a variety of topics. One of the most recent was our vet did a video on artificial insemination. And So anybody that maybe wasn't on site the day that they did the presentation at that farm has the opportunity to come in the evening and review that, ask questions. We're going to just pick topics that are related to work in some capacity, but things that we think people will find value in. In the swine industry, there's a lot of reports that are ran, and a lot of people maybe don't, they know they're gathering information, but they maybe don't see the end product, or if they do, they don't really maybe know how to read those reports. So we're gonna spend some extra time on letting them know the reason that they're gathering the information, how that's generated, what we're able to pull from those reports, and hopefully kind of just tie those pieces together so people don't just see their work as one-sided, they see how it fits as a whole. So there's a lot of different topics out there, but we're just into the beginning stages of it. But I think it'll be fun for a lot of people to be able to learn more in areas that maybe they thought they knew. But again, once they see the continuum and the circle of how things tie together, I think they'll be it'll add some excitement to what they're already doing.
Any thoughts, Tracy?
Yeah, we do several different things. Anywhere from bringing in a ventilation specialist with his trailer to go through how ventilation works, to in-barn disc personality assessment trainings. We're not just going to teach you how to work with your coworkers. We're going to teach you about yourself, how to mitigate your own weaknesses, and how to repair and reestablish some relationships with family members and people outside of the barn. And then we also have a tuition reimbursement assistance program where you talk with your manager, you're going to sign up and you're going to take a college psychology class online. If you get an A, we reimburse you 100%. What you learn from those classes isn't just about pigs, it develops you as a person as a whole.
Absolutely, and we talk, you know, it kind of brings up some good points there about you know, just creating long-term opportunities for our staff. And Andrew, I want to bring you in on this as we look at the workforce in production livestock and production agriculture. You know, sometimes we are looking at folks from different backgrounds, different ethnicities. You know, as a community, you know, what can be done to you know, welcome these folks? What can be done so you know, not only is this isn't going to be a one-year job, you know, they'll help them set their roots and plant their roots in the community, you know, to raise their family and create a future. What can be done from a community perspective?
I want to commend these two and their companies first to create more of an identity, not just in the work you do, but who you are, who you're becoming. From a community standpoint, if you're a producer, get a hold of economic development, your chambers, because the greatest way is to build identity in more than just the work you do. It's the place you live. We have interns. We have a robust intern program at the high school and college level. And what we've done over the last 2 summers is to develop this almost like a diplomat program. We're trying to get them into nooks and crannies of our community that they wouldn't otherwise know. And it's not just showing up to a board meeting, right? We had a group of students who went through the whole summer a few years back and had no idea you could go tanking down the Loup River. Had no idea. How do you educate them about what there is to do with their free time, with their time after work? How do they enjoy their life? Everybody goes to work and they get a paycheck at the end of the day. What do they want to do with that paycheck? Why do they have their job? And why do they do that job in that place? If they're going to leave, they're going to leave, but we want to make it dang hard for them to leave. And that's all based around what assets do you have in your community? What interests do they have? You know, Tracy was just talking about, I have an interest in psychology. Who else do you know? We're talking about small town America, less than 2 degrees of separation between most of us. Odds are you know someone who has that same interest. And weaving that network is what's going to make it such a robust experience in our communities and is going to create that retention that we're looking for. So as long as we're establishing and creating more relationships across the employees in our company and people in our community, that's going to go a long way for keeping people. And that's what's happened here in the community of Broken Bow and all across Custer County We've managed to recruit some of our students back because of these internships. They created that connection with people in those companies, and now they can't imagine going anywhere else. It's familiar, it's comfortable, but it's also challenging. So I think call on everyone you know, make sure you're connecting people, and not just saying hi to each other when you hit the clock in the morning.
Absolutely, you bring up some great points, and I kind of want to build off. You talked about, you know, some of the internship opportunities that you have there at Broken Bow, as well as some of the things you're doing for you know, for the students, or for get those kids back to the community. So I throw it to you, Tracy. Do you guys offer internships? I mean, what kind of, you know, or any way to build a bridge to the community colleges in the state to kind of attract those folks into the industry?
Absolutely. We've had interns here for a few years now. COVID kind of delayed and denied a few of them. The two that came from Florida this year, we actually had to do some nutrition management, some outside stuff with them the first 14 days of quarantine because they couldn't go in the barn. We had to keep them separated from everyone else. So they got a broader opportunity of animal aspect from the outside before then going into the barn. But as far as the community colleges and some of those, this year I believe we have 9 high school students. This is my 5th year here. And with that college tuition, if they remain an active employee and go off to college, they can get the tuition reimbursement as long as they come home and work over their Christmas break, which then allows our long-term employees to have a Christmas break, because we already have people trained that know how to do those things, that can come back and earn some money over their Christmas break while continuing their education. So there's a lot of great programs like that.
Absolutely. Tammy, any thoughts?
Yeah, we too are trying to improve our internship offerings. We have 2 interns this year from Texas, and we too kind of face some of the same challenges with the training from the outside in. So they were able to do some things within our corporate office, getting a chance to talk to some of those individuals before they started working in the barns. And we too have tried to partner with a local community college and, you know, work with them to, you know, we feel like what we have to offer, they could, would be difficult for them to offer in a semester class. So we've really been working diligently to try and bridge that gap between the community colleges and ourselves. And we too try to work really closely with the high school. We have a couple of high schools that are close to us. And we try to look at it from not just the perspective of those that may have an interest in ag, but as we know, swine production has a lot of different facets. And so we've also tried to work with individuals that, you know, maybe we need to redo a video. And so trying to find maybe some students that would have an interest in something like that, and try to get them in the doors to help with projects like that, even if it's for, you know, an FFA project or some other organization. There's a lot of ways for a lot of different individuals to kind of become a part of the swine industry.
Absolutely. And just want to remind everyone watching, if anyone has any questions that they would like to submit to our panel here, we would certainly welcome those, and we'll get those out there. You know, we're talking about youth, talking about, you know, that next generation of our workforce, and kind of want to segue off of that. And you brought it up, I think at Livingston, I know, visited with you guys before. You have a relationship with SCC and Beatrice. But Andrew, I'm gonna throw this to you from, you know, the companies that you've worked with. How important is forging that relationship with higher education, and kind of talk about how that works both ways, you know, not only as a source for you know, the potential workforce, but ensuring that our higher education institutions are preparing you know, students with the skills they need to serve our employers.
That dialogue is everything at this point. And so Adams Land and Cattle, Thomas Livestock, you name it, go down the list of all our major employers. They've all customized their offerings and course offerings at Mid-Plains Community College. The reason that Mid-Plains even exists was the consortium of all of those employers saying, we need something that's going to teach our employees and our future employees the skills they need to do the job and do it well. And it changes, it adapts. Jeff Evans, I have to call him out. He's done a tremendous job curating all of this, and he has experience with each of our employers. But going back to what Tracy said, when she mentioned higher education course credit, that's just another layer of value, significance of an employer investing in their employees. So it's not just on-the-job training. It's not just this is how we do things. It's you can do this, you can learn this, do your job better, but you've also got something to show for it in the form of an associate's or bachelor's, whatever the case may be. So I think that having that partnership existing is going to open more doors down the road and hopefully upward mobility for our employees, so that they can contribute in different ways to all of our employers, but especially in animal agriculture, right? There's turnover, there's things that are beyond our control, but typically what we've seen is when people acquire those skills, what they turn into is entrepreneurs. They'll turn into those people that are contracting and will come out and work in different facets of the operation. And that's great, that's fine. And that allows us to repurpose that pipeline. So long as the community college exists, we can continue to funnel people into those positions and create more opportunities for people in our communities.
Thank you, Andrew. And, both you and Tracy hit on some points about how we can invest in our workforce and create those long-term opportunities. And I guess I'd like to delve into that a bit more, whether it be, we've talked about continuing education, we've talked about some of those things, but, work-life balance, benefits, what advice do you have to companies that are watching of ways they can invest in that workforce, things that you're doing in your company, to help, help retain labor. Tammy, do you want to lead us off?
Yeah, I think a lot of times people, if they are searching for employment, we're all kind of driven by the almighty dollar. And so oftentimes we do look at just the wage that's being offered. And so we've really tried to help people. I see the other pieces that we offer as a part of their employment as well. So identifying what that health benefit looks like, how that helps them, identifying some of the other benefits that we offer and helping them to see the value that adds to not only themselves, but what that adds as far as a whole package for employment with our company. And, it's a challenging thing to try to get past for some individuals, but I think if the more time we spend on that, the more value people do see in what those extra benefit pieces are and how that has a long-term positive effect for them.
Tracy?
I feel really fortunate that the company in my community is one of the best offering of the benefits. I've never had a problem trying to sell that. Even though it is maybe a high deductible health plan, most all companies have that. So then they compensate $1,000 a year towards a HSA account, a health savings account. We teach them the importance of that, how to use that, just some of those kind of basic things for them. And going back to our multi-year relationships with the interns and the people that are learning, your passion is physical therapy. Then you come back to the barn and you teach us how to maybe work safer. Some stretches that you have to do if you're doing different various jobs. There's no monetary value to that, but we care about you, and that's our culture. We want to make sure that you work safe and you work hard and you have fun while you do it. So those are the things that you can't put on paper, but it's who we are. And so those are benefits that really speak for ourselves as far as our recruiting and our retention. Is in that recruiting, we do a referral bonus. So if you refer an employee who's hired at 6 months, you get $500, and at the end of a year, you get another $500. And so you want to recruit someone that is going to be here for a year, so you get your referral bonus. And you want to work with somebody that's a good worker. And so it's been really easy for me to kind of fill those pieces with the company benefits that were already here before I came.
Sure. I think you bring up a great point in terms of using your current employees and and current workforce is catalyst and tools to recruit other employees. Anything you want to share on the topic, Andrew?
How cool are those two programs, right? I do have to give a shout out my friend Tammy Day Coast in Norfolk. She's one of the shining examples. Like her company, they've got a wait list, I think, of about 200 people waiting to work for that company. It's incredible, and it's completely opposite of the norm, where we're in this labor shortage and labor force war, it seems like. And she's got all of these different examples, similar like Tracy and Tammy. But I kind of pull it back to the one question I asked: why do they work? What do they need the money for? If you can pinpoint that and figure out what the motivation is, I think the rest can kind of fall in line. If they're hoping to purchase a home and that's their dream, how do you get them from point A to point B? There's a financial aspect to it as well, like Tracy and Tammy were talking about. Understanding your benefits, your compensation, and creating a track for how to get there. If it's a degree, that's what's going to make more sense, and that's something that can be talked about, in negotiation. If you're talking about coming on full time with employment, what are those intangible pieces, not just the dollars and cents, that are going to make the work they do fulfilling.
Absolutely, and you bring up a good point in terms of home ownership, and obviously, not every individual is probably fit or should be in the position to own a home, but for those that are, trying to put down roots, looking to make that step from renting to owning a home in a community. What have you done to encourage home ownership, to help home ownership, or what have you seen other communities and other economic development groups in the state do to encourage that step from renting to owning?
If you convince someone to purchase real estate, that's like we got them. They're here, and that's the ultimate goal, right? Is we want people to plant roots and see this as home and see it as home for the long term. And so, obviously, creating that plan, there's different programs that accommodate different income levels, and we try and hit each of those buckets. But it's other programs that some communities have. LB 840 allows for things like down payment assistance, just saving up the funds in order to get rid of mortgage insurance, things like that they're going to save a lot of money over the long term. That can make a real difference and can be the catalyst for getting serious about purchasing a home. We had a partnership where we put up 3 homes here in Broken Bow on the south side. We weren't sure if they were going to sell, but we had these partnerships with employers that said, if they don't sell within such and such time frame, you know what, we'll guarantee the rent and we'll put some of our employees in there. And that helps mitigate the risk on both sides. We felt confident putting up a home, knowing that we had this safety net. Turns out, 1 out of 3 times they end up working for one of those companies and they end up purchasing a home. So, I think the biggest hurdle in community development for housing is risk, and we can't get rid of all of it, but know that once it happens, it's going to have a long-term effect, because we may spend $150,000, but what's that income do? What if they have a family? How do you do that economic multiplier, and how that impacts your community in the long term? It just makes sense when you stop thinking about a 1-year investment and instead think about a 50-year investment.
Absolutely, and you bring up, and you mentioned, he hit on it earlier, the importance of partnerships between companies and economic development in the community, and maybe just drive home a few points, because I think I look at who's watching this list. We have a lot of folks throughout the state, similar companies to Tammy and Tracy's, and that are dealing with this housing issue, and just how important is it to partner with economic development, and how influential that can be to spur these projects.
To the best of my ability, economic development exists for 2 reasons: connect people to resources and connect people to people. If there's a dream on your mind, if you need workforce, if we need housing, the whole purpose of economic development is to search out and seek out those resources. They get you from point A to point B. That's relationships with Department of Agriculture, USDA Rural Development, it's Department of Economic Development, and all of their affiliates. How do we get people to work for your company? What is it that you need? What's the barrier? And economic development exists to tear down that barrier. You know, we're 501c4s and 501c3s, and that gives us a lot of leeway in going after these grants and these programs that can help catalyze a lot of these major investments. And so while it may seem like this daunting task for you know, a for-profit business, you've got your business to think about. Leave all of these dollars and cents and grants to us, and let us formulate that plan with you. Let us pull in the partners like the community college, the other employers that are having the same issues, so that we can get some real momentum and create a wholesome solution. Because I tell you what, the bigger the better, especially in the grant and loan world. So if you don't know, ask. Please, we're begging you to call us so that we can make our communities better and ultimately improve you, the business. The more you grow, the more we grow.
Absolutely, I agree. Those are some great points. I do have one question that's been submitted from the audience. And again, if anyone else has any, we certainly welcome those. We've got about 10-15 minutes left here. But this would probably be for Tracy or Tammy. Do you have any experience working with third-party recruiting agencies, whether it be just for your workforce or perhaps, you know, visa employees, you know, from different countries? What are your experiences working with these recruiting firms? You want to lead us off, Tracy?
I do not have any experience with third-party recruiting firms. We do our own in-house international professionals. So the TN visa program, yes, we have done that since, I believe we started December of 2015. And again, that's the 90-day temporary housing till they can establish relationships and live with others. And we do have one of my counterpart on HR, that's what she does full time.
Tammy?
Yeah, we too have just started with the TN visa program. We actually do partner with an attorney that we use that has helped us. We're very, very new to the TN program, so we felt that we wanted to have somebody with a good knowledge base to get us started. And we had our first recruitment trip last year. And again, so the dorm style housing has worked as those individuals have come to help establish as Tracy said, get them housing, get them acclimated to the community. And so far we've been very pleased with the program. We also work with a couple of companies for a J1 visa program. That program has a little less flexibility for time that people would maybe be with our company, but we have met some incredible individuals during their time that they're here, and they typically are here for a year. Of course, with everything that's going on currently, some of those visa programs are a little stalled, but we found that both of those programs have added a tremendous amount of value to our company. It's been great to get to meet people from all over, and some long-term friendships have definitely been formed from both programs since they've happened. And again, the partners that we have with the J1 program, one we've worked with for a number of years, and another one we just started working with about a year and a half ago. But I think, again, it's important if you're looking into those programs and you don't have somebody with a strong knowledge base on the programs and how they work, it's important to find a good partner to work with, because there are a lot of steps that we maybe didn't take into account initially. And so we felt very fortunate to have somebody in our corner that can kind of help us navigate through those.
I think one of the biggest pieces of the TN program also that then ties into Andrew with the housing is the family work-life balance of the kids and the community having opportunities for those varied demographics to get together and to assimilate and to get to know one another. Because the work-life balance, if your kids are happy, you're happy at work. And so that's been a big piece for us at TN's, is making sure it's a family program.
How big of a challenge has that been, Tracy, you know, integrating some of those different ethnicities and cultures into the community and into your company?
I feel as though we've been incredibly fortunate. One of the first programs we did was at the public library, and we did bilingual classes first of English and Spanish, free to the whole community, all age groups, anybody can come. And the native speakers would read in Spanish and the English speakers would read in English, and half hour into it, the kids are all playing tag, you know? And so then the parents and the moms sit there and talk back and forth, and you find out that you're next door neighbors, and then you start watching each other's kids, and you go to the pool together, and it just kind of naturally happened. The first few families were just amazing and incredible, and the community has been so welcome and embracing that I feel like it's been great for everyone.
Any thoughts, Tammy?
Again, our TN program is fairly new, and it's or we feel like we're in its infancy stage. But before we invited or started the program, we did meet with the local college, and we had set up classes for those individuals to take. So as soon as they arrived, they were able to start taking English as a second language classes. We worked with a local high school teacher, and she has been instrumental in helping us navigate through some of that. She also offers some other classes depending on their skill level. So that's been a fun transition to see people as they get excited about learning the language. And then we're kind of trying to take the step, as Tracy mentioned, instead of just having her offer the classes for the TNs, we have the opportunity for people on our team that she's going to start offering Spanish classes so that we can start to improve our skill and hopefully learn to better communicate with those individuals as well. Right now, we don't have any TNs that have family here. One of the individuals that we have is in the process of having his family come. And so we're excited to see what that will do and what that will mean for our company. And we're excited to work with the school, and you know, once that's able to be approved, watch that progression too.
Absolutely. Well, as we get ready to wrap up this program here in the next or this session here in the next 10 minutes, you know, Andrew, you talked about the importance of companies reaching out to economic development, reaching out to other companies, because likely, you know, other people are dealing with the same issues they are. If you could just give one or two pieces of advice or one or two take-home messages to employers that are dealing with these issues in rural communities, what would they be? What would your two pieces of advice be?
My advice is, you're the expert here, and economic development exists as a tool for you to use. Same with chambers of commerce. If you've spent more time than you wanted to thinking about a problem, that's usually your cue. Bring someone else in, whether it's economic development or someone else. You know, maybe there's a program that exists specifically for that issue, but if you keep talking to yourself, you're going to get the same answer. So we exist to listen to those problems and get connected. Like I said, connect people to people, people to resources. So as minuscule as the problem may be, that's why entities like ours exist, and there's no problem too small.
Absolutely. I don't see any other questions coming in, so I guess I would just close with this. I think we'll go down the line, and we'll if you want to give us your 60-second elevator pitch on why someone should come work for Livingston's or GJW, or why someone should come live in Bow. I mean, what? So Tammy, why don't you start? Why should somebody work for Livingston's?
Oh, well, you know, there's a lot of reasons, but Livingston's is a family-owned business. It's first generation. Bruce, the owner of the company, knows every single person by name. He usually knows your spouse's name, kids' names, all of those things. And it's become a very progressive company in the area with a lot of growth and expansion and potential for individuals to move up within the company. I feel like we're kind of cutting edge with a lot of different things. We always want to be the one that comes up with the new next thing. And so I think that there's just a lot of opportunity for somebody who's willing to learn an industry that they maybe didn't know a lot about ahead of time, to come in and find a position, find a niche that works for them. And Fairbury is actually a very nice community as well. So we would welcome anybody that's looking for employment to check us out, stop by, visit. Love to give you a tour of our new office and show you some videos of our facilities.
Tracy?
She hit on what could have been my company. It's a multi-generation family company. I don't just want to recruit for GJW though. I want to recruit for this industry. I would have never known how incredible this industry is if it hadn't started with a simple conversation. So recruit anyone. This industry isn't for everyone, but you never know who is going to have that passion ignited from one conversation. And to find companies like Livingston, to find companies like GJW that will take people with drive and integrity and will further their own passions and others. So yeah, I'm very thankful to be a part of this panel.
Andrew, why should we come live in Bow?
Would it be too cliche to say this is where dreams come true? You know, I think I'll go to bat on behalf of all of rural Nebraska. You know, there's so much opportunity and there's so much of a blank canvas to build a life that you're looking for. You know, whether it's home ownership like we've talked about, upward mobility, entrepreneurship. No better place than, you know, fail fast, fail hard, and let everybody else pick you back up. There's such a connection. There's such a network, a weaved network that's so close-knit that enables you to feel comfortable in taking a lot of those risks. You know, entrepreneurs, whatever your style, we've got it, and we've got different industries. And we've got a whole lot of people that want to see you succeed. We are the diamond of Central Nebraska, and I think I'll hang my hat on that and say thanks. I appreciate the time.
Well, Tammy, Tracy, Andrew, we appreciate, the three of you appreciate your insight. I think some different perspectives, but I think kind of a common message on the issues and some of the things that can be done to address them. So we appreciate you guys joining us today, and thanks again.
Wonderful.
Thank you.